This is the Paul Revere Call. We are just minutes to midnight, and only the people can save America. After viewing this video, go to nationallibertyalliance.org and join the effort in your state and county to save America before the stroke of midnight. The Unified United States Common Law Grand Jury and all 50 Unified State Common Law Grand Juries have just filed in the United States Supreme Court and the District Court and served upon all Supreme Court and Federal Court judges the following writ quo warranto, making clear that we, the people, who ordained and established this government by our own authority gifted by God and so declared in the Declaration of Independence, declare that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, government are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter it and to install new stewards. And therefore, the following writ is the line in the sand that only the people can draw, and therefore this is our declaration, decree, and command to all government servants. This is a declaration of a true bill under seal. Silence can only be equated with fraud, where there is a legal or moral duty to speak, or where an inquiry left unanswered would be intentionally misleading. United States v. Tweel. Bar-controlled federal and state court judges, by their presumed authority, contrary to their oath and duty, fraudulently claim the Constitution for the United States and its capstone Bill of Rights abolished by traitorous bar-controlled legislators. Acts of conspiracy, treason, and war against the United States. We, the people, decree, by quo warranto, all said unconstitutional legislation null and void, and declare all such subversives enemies of the people of the United States of America, and order all United States marshals, bailiffs, county sheriffs, and deputies to arrest all such federal and state judges for conspiracy, treason, and breach of the peace when witnessing the violation of people's unalienable rights from the bench, in violation of Article 3, Section 3, for levying war against the people, adhering to the enemy, giving aid and comfort. 18 U.S. Code 2385. Whoever organizes or helps or attempts to organize any society, group, or assembly of persons who teach, advocate, or encourage the overthrow or destruction of any such government by force or violence, or becomes or is a member of or affiliates with any such society, group, or assembly of persons, knowing the purpose thereof, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years, or both. Writ quo warranto. It will be an evil day for American liberty if the theory of a government outside supreme law finds lodgment in a constitutional jurisprudence. No higher duty rests upon this court than to exert its full authority to prevent all violations of the principles of the Constitution. Downs v. Bidwell. Comes now the constituted unified common law grand juries of the 50 United States of America this evil day. We command all county, state, federal, and U.S. Supreme Court judges and clerks to perform their duty, guaranteeing to every state in this union a republican form of government, and protect each of them against invasion, or vacate your office now. Whereas we, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure the domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, did ordain and establish the Constitution for the United States of America, that all judges and all members of the government, both state and federal, are lawfully bound to obey. Decree that we, the people, have been providentially provided legal recourse to address the criminal conduct of persons themselves entrusted to dispense justice. The grand jury is an institution separate from the courts, over whose functioning the courts do not preside. Thus, the people have the unbridled right, by law and in law, to impanel their own grand juries and present true bills of information, indictments, and presentments to the court of record, which is then required to commence a criminal proceeding. Our founding fathers, with foresight, crafted into the common law Fifth Amendment a buffer the people may rely upon for justice when public officials, including judges, go rogue, act in bad behavior, and criminally violate the law. The Prime Directive. The Prime Directive, ordained by the American people, purposed their government to 1. Form a more perfect union. 2. Establish justice. 3. Ensure the domestic tranquility. 4. Provide for the common defense. 5. Promote the general welfare. And 6. Secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. The subsequent violent felony acts of war against the aforesaid Prime Directive. 1. Debilitate the union of the American people. 2. Establishes injustice. 3. Undermines domestic tranquility. 4. Renders the people vulnerable to foreign and domestic enemies. 5. Destabilizes the general welfare. And 6. Annihilates the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Common sense can only conclude that there are forces within our servant government conspiring war and subterfuge against the American people by denying the very republican form of government that they took an oath to protect and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Thereby, it is the duty of all oath-takers to take a stand now, obey and defend the Constitution, and assist the people in arresting and terminating the following unconstitutional acts by simply obeying the law of the land and acknowledging the unalienable rights of the people to be self-governed. Therefore, judges everywhere are commanded again to obey the law of the land and sign the attached mandamus. The excuse "we are only following orders" did not stand in Nuremberg, and it most certainly will not stand here. To prove our conclusion, let facts be submitted to a candid world. Our servants have obstructed the administration of justice by refusing acquiescence to the laws established for judiciary powers. Our servants have transformed judges into chancellors, dependent upon the will of the bar guild alone. Esquires resolute on destroying common law, the foundation of America. Our servants have erected a multitude of fourth-branch administrative agencies unaccountable to the Constitution, and sent hither swarms of corporate administrators disobedient to the Constitution, revenue and code enforcement officers to harass our people and to eat out their substance. Our servants have kept among us, in times of peace, standing armies and excessively militarized police forces without the consent of the people. Our servants have joined with foreign bankers to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, given assent to their acts or pretended legislation. Our servants are secretly accommodating large bodies of armed foreign troops among us. Our servants have imposed a multitude of property-robbing taxes, direct taxes, fees, and fines on us without our consent. Our servants have deprived us of the benefits of honest trial by jury. Our servants have deprived us of the benefit of unrigged grand juries. Our servants have transported us into chancery courts to be tried for pretended offenses. Our servants have enlarged its boundaries under the guise of District of Columbia, so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing absolute rule into these states. Our servants have arrogantly disregarded our Bill of Rights, abolishing our most valuable laws, altering fundamentally the people's form of government without our consent. Our servants have declared power to legislate through executive order without consent. Our servants have waged war against us. Our servants have plundered our manufacturing base, ravaged our small businesses, and destroyed the lives of our people. Our servants have put people in debtor's prison. Our servants have engaged in human trafficking of our children and elderly through courts. Our servants have engaged in racketeering and extortion through our courts. Our servants have held mock trials in courts not of record and thereby unlawfully incarcerating and financially fleecing millions of people, denying due process. Our servants have impaneled bogus puppet, grand, and petty juries in order to perform bar will and profiteering. Our servants have stolen our homes in rem and fraud, assisting bankers in double-dipping. Our servants have kidnapped our children and destroyed our families in family courts. Our servants have robbed our parents, turned their twilight years into nightmares, and destroying our families in probate courts. Our servants have turned our common law courts into chancery courts of injustice. Our servants have transformed our unalienable rights into crimes, violating at every stage our Bill of Rights, serving the bar and not the people. Against Amendment 1, our servants have forbidden the free exercise of Judeo-Christian religion. Our servants have denied free speech. Our servants have commandeered the press. Our servants have denied the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Against the second, our servants have dismantled the militia and closed our armories. Our servants have denied the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Against the fourth, our servants have violated our privacy using bogus warrants, spying on the people, eavesdropping on our conversation, and unlawfully maintaining files on the people to be used during the unlawful martial law to target dissenters and enslave the people. Against Amendment 5th, our servants have accused people in courts not of record, incarcerating millions with corrupt grand juries, and forcing people to witness against themselves. Our servants have deprived millions of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Our servants have seized private property under rem and caprice. Against Amendment 6, our servants have denied millions of people trial by impartial jury. Our servants have denied assistance of counsel unless they are bar co-conspirators of the court to stealthily deprive people of their unalienable rights. Against Amendment 7, our servants have denied suits at common law. Our servants have denied trial by jury. Our servants have denied the people heritage common law. Against Amendment 8, our servants have imposed excessive bails, fines, cruel and unusual punishments for behaviors that are not crimes. Against Amendment 9, our servants have denied scores of unalienable rights retained by the people. Against Amendment 10, our servants have corrupted government at every level and have turned sovereignty of the people into a crime. At every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for a redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. Servants whose characters is thus marked by an every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the stewards of a free people. We therefore command you to repent and obey the law of the land or face the wrath of the people. War against the Constitution and the people by Congress. Secret construction of a statutory prison. The following is by no means an exhaustive list of usurpation by Congress and acts of treason against we the people of the United States of America, and our decree of 1789, the Constitution for the United States of America. To list all would take volumes, but the foregoing is an accurate representation of a government that has become destructive. 1. Suspension of habeas corpus, Reconstruction Act, 1871, in violation of Article 1, Section 9, Paragraph 2. 2. Reconstituted the United States as a corporate-controlled democracy. Reconstruction Act, 1871, in violation of Article 4, Section 4. 3. Creation of the Federal Reserve, which provides for foreign bankers to unlawfully control the United States monetary system. Federal Reserve Act, 1913, and eventually unlawfully disbanded the United States Treasury in violation of Article 1, Section 8. 4. Granted the President broad, sweeping investigative and prosecutorial powers against anyone, including the American people, found by the President to be an enemy thereby, giving the President essentially dictatorial powers. Trading with the Enemy Act, 1917, in violation of Article 4, Section 4. Disband the United States Treasury, 1920, in violation of Article 1, Section 8. Registration requirements of the people in order to use the people as chattel for the federal notes. Townsend Act, 1925, in violation of Article 3, Section 3. War against the people of the United States, Trading with the Enemy Act, amended 1933, and Alien Registration Act, 1940, in violation of Article 3, Section 3. Numerical identification system to track and control the people's financial business and to apply an unlawful direct tax. Social Security Act, 1935, in violation of Article 1, Section 9. Common law was abrogated. Erie Railroad versus Thompson, 1938, in violation of Article 3, Section 2, Article 4, Amendment 7, and Amendment 5. Immunity to judges for their crimes. International Organization Immunities Act, 1945, in violation of Article 2, Section 4. Corrupted our grand juries through governmental controls, 1946, in violation of Amendment 5. Government spying on the people empowers the government to deploy unwarranted dragnets for massive amounts of information on private citizens. Patriot Act, 2001, in violation of Amendment 4. Authorization for government to indefinitely detain American citizen nationals without probable cause, without warrant, without charges, and without due process in law. National Defense Authorization Act, 2014, in violation of the Fifth Amendment. Socialism, communism, indoctrinations taught in our schools. Common Core, in violation of the will of the people and Article 4, Section 4. 100% control of the people's movements of food, water, energy, and control over the minds of our children. Agenda 21, United Nations, passed in 1992 and supported by President George Bush, in violation of the Constitution for the United States of America, the Bill of Rights, the Magna Carta, and the Holy Bible. We the people decree all unconstitutional legislation null and void. War against the people by administrations. Preparation for war by executive legislation. Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedom. It is the argument of tyrants. It is the creed of slaves. William Pitt. Most executive orders end with the phrase, "These executive orders don't define what specifically constitute a national emergency." The following executive order are just a few of thousands of unconstitutional executive orders that are preparing to take full control over the lives of every man, woman, and child in America. Under the guise of necessity, these provide for Martial Law, Executive Order 100, also known as the Liber Code, 1863. Formed the FBI through Executive Order 1908. President closed all the banks in the country under Executive Order 1933. President confiscated gold, Executive Order 1933. President removed property rights. Executive Order 1933. Federal seizure of all communications, media in the United States. Executive Order 10995. Federal seizure of all electric, power, fuels, and minerals, both public and private. Executive Order 10997. Federal seizure of all food, supplies, and resources, both public and private, and all farms and equipment, including what people are storing for emergencies in their homes. Executive Order 10998. Federal seizure of all means of transportation, including cars, trucks, or vehicles of any kind, and total control over all highways, seaports, and waterways. Executive Order 10999. Federal seizure of American people for workforces under federal supervision, including the splitting up of families if the government so desires. This happened before in Europe during the Nazi regime. Executive Order 11000. Federal seizure of all health, education, and welfare facilities, both public and private. Executive Order 11001. The powers of the Postmaster General to register every single person in the United States. Executive Order 11002. Federal seizure of all airports and aircrafts. Executive Order 11003. Federal seizure of all housings and financings and authorities to establish forced relocations, authority to designate areas to be abandoned as unsafe, establish new locations for populations, relocate communities, build new housing with public funds. Executive Order 11004. Federal seizure of all railroads, inland waterways, and storage facilities, both public and private. Executive Order 11005. FEMA's complete authorization to put above orders into effect in times of increased international tension, of economic or financial crisis in case of a national emergency. Executive Order 11051. We, the people, decree all executive orders null and void. War against the people by judiciary. RICO 18, U.S. Code 1962. Forbidden activities. It shall be unlawful for any person employed or by or associated with any enterprise engaged in or the activities of which affect interstate or foreign commerce to conduct or participate directly or indirectly in the conduct of such enterprises' affairs through a pattern of racketeering, active activity, or collection of unlawful debt. The judiciary denies constitutionally constrained courts of law and operates under the name of equity, when in fact people are hijacked unaware into chancery courts to settle unlawful corporate monetary issues ruled by chancellors, also known as judges, that have been banned in the United States since 1789. The people ordained the law and equity, both of which must adhere to the law of the land, Common Law, Article 6. The Seventh Amendment provides for suits at common law. The Fifth Amendment provides for all criminal charges to be by an indictment or presentment by a common law grand jury. See United States v. Williams. We, the people, decree all chancery courts null and void. Take judicial cognizance of the only constitutional powers. The only lawful powers we, the people, gave to our legislators are found in Article 1, Section 8, whereas Congress shall have power to tax, borrow money, make regular commerce with foreign nations and among the several states, establish a uniform rule of naturalization, uniform bankruptcy laws, coin money and fix the standards of weights and measures, provide for the punishment of counterfeiting, establish post offices, post roads, promote science and useful arts, constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas, declare war, grant letters of marque, make rules concerning captures on land and water, raise and support armies and fund no longer term than 2 years, provide and maintain a navy, make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces, provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrection, and repel invasions, provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such districts not exceeding 10 square miles, the seat of the government of the United States, and like authority over forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. Make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers, and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States, or in any department or office thereof. The only lawful powers we the people gave the President are found in Article 2, Section 2. He has not been given legislative powers, whereas the President shall have powers too. Be the Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states when called into the actual service of the United States. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officers in each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of their respective offices, and he shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. He shall have power, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the Senate present concur. He shall nominate, and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and counsels, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law. He shall fill up the vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate. He shall from time to time give to the Congress information of the state of the Union, and recommend to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both houses, or either of them, and in the case of disagreement between them, he shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed, and shall commission all the officers of the United States. The only lawful jurisdiction given to the courts are under law and equity, and both jurisdictions are governed by Article 6, which decrees, "This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding." Only lawful powers we the people gave to the judiciary are found in Article 3, Section 1 and 2, whereas the court's powers are as follows. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges both of the Supreme and inferior courts shall hold their offices during good behavior. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, treaties made of which shall be made under their authority, all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministries, and councils, all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, controversies to which the United States shall be a party, controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming land under grants of different states, and between the state of the citizen thereof and foreign state citizens or subjects, in all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministries, and consuls, and those in which a state shall be party. The Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction in all the other cases before mentioned. The Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state where the said crimes shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. All judges is to take judicial cognizance of the Bill of Prohibition. The Constitution includes the Bill of Rights, which is actually a Bill of Prohibition, and therefore places restraints upon government rulemaking. These restrictions are: Congress shall make no law respecting religion or forbidding the free exercise thereof. Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Congress shall make no law abridging the press. Congress shall make no law abridging the assembly of the people. Congress shall make no law abridging petition for a redress of grievances. Congress shall make no law abridging a regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Congress shall make no law abridging the people to keep and bear arms. Congress shall make no law abridging the people to be secured in their persons, homes, places, and effects. Warrants shall issue only upon probable cause, supported by oath, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or thing to be seized. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or an indictment of a grand jury. No person shall be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life and limb. No person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. No private property shall be taken for public use without just compensation. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury. Assistance of counsel shall not be denied. Take note, the American bar was founded in New York, August 21st, 1878, almost 100 years later. In common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved. No fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. The people have more rights. Their behavior shall not be legislated. Powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor forbidden by it to the states, are reserved to the states or to the people. Government servants have been entrusted with the people's business, and some have abused their powers to enslave or sell the American people as cattle. The bar has beguiled you with power, compartmentalized many. Others turn a blind eye for money, and some are just useful idiots. Therefore, it is concluded that of the 21 powers given to our legislatures, 9 powers given to the President, 21 plus prohibitions, and all courts are to act only under common law. Among these powers nowhere can it be found authority from the people to perform any of the aforementioned unconstitutional acts, or to create statutes controlling the behavior of the people. Judges rest upon fraudulent appellate court rulings and statutes that are repugnant to the Constitution, while they convince themselves that by following such statutes they are immune from penalties should the people become aware of their fraud. Take notice, we are aware of the fraud, and your feeble response is misguided and subject to serious legal consequences should you choose to remain silent and fail to act. Because rights are unalienable, legislators cannot legislate them away. No matter what the bar has instructed you, rights come from God and not man. Therefore, not even the people can give them up for themselves or others. Once we, the people, ordained common law, the law of the land, no man could abrogate it. To claim to do so is an act of war against the people and their God. Unconstitutional acts are not law, and no one is bound to obey them. Judges are expected to maintain a high standard of judicial performance, and when they violate the Constitution, they cease to represent the government, became liable for damages, and loses any immunity they may think that they have. State judges as well as federal have the responsibility to respect and protect persons from violations of federal constitutional rights. Decency, security, and liberty alike demand that government officials be subjected to the same rules of conduct that are commanded to the citizens. Judges have no more of a right to decline the exercise of jurisdiction which is given than to usurp that which is not given. The one of the other would be treason to the Constitution. No judicial process, whatsoever form it may assume, can have any lawful authority outside of the limits of the jurisdiction of the courts or judge by whom it is issued. An attempt to enforce it beyond these boundaries is nothing less than lawless violence. Therefore, all servants acting in concert under color of law, statute, regulation, and custom, that are willfully or ignorantly depriving the people of our unalienable rights and immunities, secured and protected by the Constitution for the United States of America, are hereby ordered to stand down, correct this matter by signing the attached mandamus, and by such actions we will accept that you are attempting to take responsibility for past due abuses and making a good faith effort to amend bad behaviors beginning now, and we the people will move forward without looking behind. Let us remind you that governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter it. Wherefore, we the people, by our own prerogative, under seal, command the accounting of your stewardship, by obeying and answering the following under penalty of perjury. Answers through counsels are insulting, placing salt upon open wounds, and will be determined as non-answers, and thereby have been predetermined by the people worthy of a true bill presentment upon all conspirators, lawyers, and judiciary alike. Answers by the sending of repugnant forms or the returning of Quo Warranto have also been predetermined by the people to be in non-compliance and will result in the issuance of a true bill presentment upon both clerk and conspiring judiciary. All federal judges are commanded to obey the common law as defined under the Article 6, Paragraph 2 of the Common Law United States Constitution and its Common Law Capstone Bill of Prohibition. You have the duty to speak and act. Therefore, silence can only be interpreted as complicity with the conspiracy to overthrow the people's government of the United States of America. Failure to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, Article 2, Section 1, is to war against the people. Failure to secure the blessings of liberty, Preamble, is to war against the people. Failure to repel and protect each state against invasion from within to destroy the people's republican form of government, Article 4, Section 4, and Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 15, is to war against the people. Every day you resist the will of the people, the U.S. Constitution places liberty in greater jeopardy, and in so doing, we the people will hold you responsible and will require compliance to the uttermost weight of the highest law, for the domestic enemy of our republic cannot endure without your support, because you alone are holding in the balance peace or war. You are hereby ordered to order all clerks to obey the law by filing and processing all true bills from common law grand juries as required by law under 18 U.S.C. 2076 and 2071. All judges are ordered to command all states and federal judges to obey the law of the land as commanded under the United States Constitution, Article 6, Paragraph 2. All judges are ordered to sign and mail to the address above the attached mandamus, which commands all servants in all courts to cease from obstruction and interference of the people's business and access into the courts under 18 U.S.C. 1512b. All judges are to confirm with the court clerk that this Quo Warranto has been filed as required by 18 U.S.C. 2076 and 2071, and a time-stamped copy has been mailed to the address above. All judges are to produce a certified copy of your constitutional oath of office as required by Article 6, Paragraph 3 of the Constitution and 5 U.S.C. 3331. All judges are to provide affidavits declaring that you did not pay for or otherwise make or promise considerations to secure the office, as per 5 U.S.C. 3332. All judges are to produce their personal surety bonds and documentation that establishes your complete line of chain of command delegated authority, including all intermediaries, beginning with the President of the United States or the Governor of the state you claim authority from. These documents should all be filed as public record as per 5 U.S.C. 2906 for requirements concerning filing oaths. In the event you do not have a personal surety bond, you may provide a copy of your financial statement, which you are required to file annually. Your financial statement will be construed as a private treaty surety bond in the event that you should exceed lawful authority. You are commanded under seal to obey items 1 and 2 and provide within 7 calendar days from receipt of this demand by mail items 3 through 8 to the address above, or resign your office immediately. Failure to comply with all the demands of this writ Quo Warranto will be an admission of your intentional and willful engagement in RICO and high treason against the people, and will be subject to presentments or indictments for immediate removal from office and criminal prosecution for the committing of illicit and ongoing crimes in a wheel and chain of conspiracy. Signed and so ordered by the people under seal. End of writ of Quo Warranto. Now we beseech you that we deceive ourselves no longer. We have done everything that could be done to avert the storm. We have petitioned. We have remonstrated. We have supplicated. We have prostrated ourselves before the court. Our petitions have been slighted. Our remonstrances have produced additional violence and insult. Our supplications have been disregarded, and we have been spurned with contempt from the foot of their courts. We are not weak, if we make a proper use of the means which the God of nature hath placed in our power. 300 millions of people armed in the holy cause of liberty, and in such a country as that which we possess, are invincible by any force which our enemy can send against us. There is no retreat but in submission and slavery. Our chains are forged. Their clanking may be heard. Why stand we here idle? Besides, we shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who presides over the destinies of nations, and who will raise up angels to fight our battles for us. Stand for the holy cause of liberty. Go to nationallibertyalliance.org and join we the people in your state to take a stand for justice and save America by taking back our courts. Now.